Hey everybody, my name is Adama and welcome to Lilith Astrology. So this is a very important video. Well, all the videos are important, but this is a very important video because this is one of the basics of astrology, and this is also how your birth chart or your natal chart is completely laid out. This is really what sets the tone of your personality and your birth chart. So today I'm going to be talking about the rising sign or ascendant. So basically, the rising sign is when you were born, what sign was at the eastern horizon the moment that you were born. So this is really the lens that you see the world through. This is your personality. This is when you first meet somebody, they see your rising sign. That's why sometimes it's very difficult to guess what sign, what sun sign somebody is because their rising sign is the first thing that you see. So someone can be something completely different than how they come off. They can be a Scorpio rising and then be a Gemini sun and Gemini moon, which is completely different signs. So it's really your presence when you first enter the room. It's when you first meet people. It's your personality. And kind of as I mentioned earlier in the video, the rising sign is what sets up the houses in your chart. And actually, a lot of astrologers write, most of us honestly, write as if the sun is on the ascendant. So basically, if you're reading a Scorpio sun sign, horoscope, you're reading a Scorpio rising horoscope. That's why we always kind of say, like, hey, you should read your rising sign as well. So I think this is a very important video, and I'm going to create a 3-part series. The first is going to be our cardinal signs. The second is going to be our mutable signs. And the third is going to be our fixed sign. So I wanted to kind of break this off in terms of modality. So let's get started with part 1. These are the cardinal signs: Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, and Libra. So on to our last cardinal sign, the sign of Capricorn. So this rising sign, when you have Capricorn on your ascendant, Saturn rules your chart. And Saturn is all about lessons and time, structure, hard work, discipline. So these people can come off as just that when you first meet them. These are very hardworking people, very grounded people. They tend to come across rational. They are probably the rational out of a group of friends or out of a bunch of people. And they can have a grounding presence in the room. They can have a powerful presence in the room. Saturn is also power, and Capricorn also represents power. So these people really move through the world with that Saturnian strength, power, and solid energy, just that solid earth energy. Moving on to their second house, they have the sign of Aquarius. So they can really go about different ways of making money. So Capricorn on their ascendant, they're hard workers, but what they may fall into in terms of their earned income can be completely out of this world. They may invent something new. They may come up with a new internet business. They may completely change the face of a certain industry and completely flip it on its head, and that's how they earn their money. They may freelance and kind of do different types of jobs and own their own business. So they really don't have your basic way of earning an income. Moving on to the third house, which is Pisces for a Capricorn rising. So these people, if they had siblings, they were more than likely very close to them and just felt emotionally bonded with them. They can feel really emotional and attached to their childhood friends and the, kids that they had grown up with. They're the type of rising sign to have friends for ages and ages that they've known since they were children. They also may have a more empathetic way of communicating with other people. Even though, they may come across as a stern, Saturnian, cold energy, when, you have Pisces in your third house, you warm these people up. They are very caring and deeply empathetic people. especially when it comes to communicating with others. If they were teachers, the way that they taught in school and the way that they communicated information, the students really could feel comforted by their style and the way that they come across. So moving on to their fourth house in Aries. So Mars rules the planet Aries. So sometimes Capricorn risings they have a lot that goes on in their home life. They may actually not like to stay at home as much as other rising signs. Having Aries there, they really need to be active. They really need to be doing things, especially when it comes to around the house. They, could have had a little bit of a stormy family life growing up, or potentially, had some fighting going on or some conflict with that Martian energy. Mars rules war in astrology. So they could have had that happen growing up. Or it could also just be, when they're home, they are just extremely active people. They like to just be doing things and be out and be about. You may sometimes also find yourself in areas where there's a lot of hustle and bustle. There could just be a lot going on, like somewhere like New York City. If you have a Capricorn rising, you could just kind of find yourself at some point in your life in very active areas. So home is never really like settled. There's always something going on in terms of a Capricorn rising, their home life. Moving on to the fifth house of creativity, self-expression, and play and fun. And Taurus is in the fifth house for Capricorn risings. So these people actually really know how to indulge and have fun. They're the types, like if they're going to go out, they're going to go out. They're going to go somewhere nice. They're going to have great food. They're really going to want to be entertained and experience quality art. They're all about quality. And this also comes to dating. I think they could want someone aesthetically pleasing to them, but I think they really do want someone to be stable and that can take care of them, having Taurus in the fifth house. They also are really stable daters, especially with Capricorn's Earth on their ascendant. When they have, stable fixed Taurus, which is an earth sign in their fifth house, that is how they can act when it comes to romance and dating. They find themselves kind of moving faster and getting more involved, living with someone pretty fast. So they just really take pleasure in romance. Moving on to the sixth house, which is ruled by Gemini. So Capricorn risings with Gemini in the sixth house really are the life of the party when it comes to work. They are and it's very interesting them having Capricorn on their ascendant because they love to work. So when they do get to work, it's just fun for them. Having, Gemini in the sixth house. They really can make a lot of friends at work. They really have fun at work. They really have great rapport with their coworkers. And I feel like it's been a little bit since I've said this, but it depends also on the planets that are in this house and how they're aspecting other planets in other houses. But they really are very sociable at work. They enjoy going and talking to their coworkers and developing friendships with them. They also, could love short distance travel when it comes to their day-to-day and not like, staying stagnant in one place, but really bouncing around and going to different places. Moving on to the seventh house. So Capricorn risings have Cancer on their descendant. So Cancers trigger their house of relationships and partnerships, business and personal. So when you have the moon here, when you have Cancer here, you really want someone nurturing. You want someone who can take care of you. You want someone who can provide emotional support and provide that emotion, because when you have Capricorn on your ascendant and Saturn ruling your chart, emotion may be a little bit more difficult for you to express. So you project that need, and partners with that energy gravitate towards you. So Cancer sun signs or Cancer risings can really trigger your relationships, and you could also find yourself in terms of work, you know, the partnerships that you form at work, contracts that you sign, the people that you work with. You tend to find that you gravitate towards people who have a more nurturing nature about them versus someone that's cold. So you really could find yourself, you know, in a work environment with a lot of women, or in a nurturing work environment where the people around you really care about one another, and it's kind of like a big family. I think also you could find family in the workplace too, and consider a lot of people that you work with very close. So Capricorn risings have Leo in the 8th house of other people's money, sex, death, transformation. So actually, it's very interesting. Capricorn risings, you're good with money, but in the 8th house, especially, you know, when you have a partner and you get married, you could find yourself the breadwinner, or the person that is just generous and provides. And you really could want to have a lot of fun spending your money. So you can be a generous person. You work hard, you know, but play hard, and really, you know, have fun with it. Another aspect is you could be really creative and get funding very easily for these ideas. You could get money from other people for projects, or for an idea, for certain things. The 8th house ruling other people's money. I think you also like to have fun with sex. I think also, even though Capricorn risings come across stern, behind closed doors, they can be very playful and fun and romantic. So this is a little bit of a hidden side of themselves. I think also the way that you transform is through your, you know, accepting your individuality, accepting your creative ideas, accepting that fun side of yourself, which I think you do later in life. Because being Capricorn rising, you may come across and, you know, be more serious, but eventually you learn to transform yourself. That 8th house transformation happens, where some of the Leo shines through as you get older, and you feel more confident about showing this side of yourself. So moving on to the 9th house in Virgo. So Capricorn risings, when they have Virgo, this logical, detail-oriented sign in the 9th house, when it comes to your opinions, your beliefs, your worldviews, you really are logical and grounded in deciding what is right for you and what is not right. I think also you love to travel and expand your mind in order to logically make these, you know, make these statements about the world and have these ideas about the world. You really have to experience it and tangibly see it in order to form a belief. So you're very, you know, it's very earthy, needs to be tangible energy when it comes to forming your own philosophies. I think also in terms of, you know, you getting a higher education for a Capricorn rising is very easy should they decide to pursue it. I mean, Virgo is detail, 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 and meticulous attention to detail. So having that in the 9th house, you really can get through lengthy research and really be detailed when it comes to learning a new craft or learning something new. And I think also you don't form opinions about other cultures unless you've experienced them. And a lot of the time, Capricorn risings try to make sure that they do experience all there is to see so that they can be informed and can be intelligent. So moving on to the 10th house, Capricorn risings have Libra in the 10th house. So you could be a lawyer. I mean, Capricorn risings having Libra in the 10th house is the 10th house of public appearance and prestige and how the world sees you. So they're very fair-minded when it comes to leadership. They are well-liked and by the public or by their industry or whoever knows them. They are fair-minded leaders. Fair. Libra is all about, you know, equality, justice, and fairness. So these people, even though, you know, they're super powerful and have this heavy Saturnian energy, they really are fair and really want want what's best for whoever they're leading. Also having Venus on the midheaven, having Libra in the 10th house, women could play, regardless if they're a man or a woman, the person with the chart, that women could play a huge role in their career in getting them to where they need to be in their life. They really could just get boosts of help from women, and, you know, other women lift them up. If you're a man, the opposite sex always lifts you up, and you can also have a closer relationship with women in your career. So very, very interesting. Moving on to Capricorn's 11th house, which is in the sign of Scorpio. So Capricorn risings, Scorpio energy triggers for them, wanting to network and build connections. They're very serious about building these connections and getting to know new people, and making the best, getting what they can out of these connections. You know, Capricorn, Saturnian energy on your ascendant. Not only that, your power, you are powerful, and this can come later in life. So this kind of also goes with their serious Saturnian energy. Pluto and Saturn, you know, to me they're kind of cousins. Having Pluto in your 11th house, you may find that a lot of the people that you meet just by chance, or through your network, through other friends, they end up becoming serious friends that transform your life. So, you know, when a Capricorn rising makes connections and makes friends, they end up deepening, or they end up doing something for them that transforms their life. So when a Capricorn rising is meeting new people, it's not like, you know, Gemini energy where it's like, oh, I met a bunch of people, we talked, and now I'm moving on and whatever. The 11th house, having Scorpio there, they really care about these connections and really want to forge a bond. I think also they prefer sincerity in forming connections and forming bonds. And the way that they communicate with those connections and bonds can be on a deeper level. They may not like communication that skims over the surface. So moving on to the last and final house for Capricorn, and that's Sagittarius. So when you have Sagittarius in your hidden house, basically that Jupiter, expansive, lucky, benefic energy is behind the scenes. You have Saturn ruling your chart. Saturn is what is visible and what is present. So maybe a little bit more difficult for Capricorn risings to be positive, to be light, to be optimistic. They can tend to get pessimistic. So it's energy that a Capricorn must, you know, realize about themselves, and then consciously tap into this themselves. Like, they can't live their lives unaware that this is a hidden part of themselves. It's a conscious effort to kind of pull into that Jupiter energy. And it also depends on where Jupiter is placed in the birth chart. But basically this Sagittarius energy is a bit hidden away for Capricorn rising. So that's a little bit of a challenge for them in their life, is to tap into that optimistic, benefic Jupiter energy. So that is our cardinal signs and when they're on your ascendant. And this is basically how you show up in the world, and the lens you see the world through, and how people see you. So knowing your rising sign is just so important. Another thing too is knowing your rising sign. You can kind of know how the different parts of your life are flowing in your birth chart, and understand what signs are in what houses for you. You can understand how someone is triggering you and what area of your life they're triggering. So Cancer rising, then I realized, like, oh, no wonder I have a lot of Capricorn friends or people with Capricorn energy, because that triggers my house of relationships and relating to others. So that's that for this week, and I'm going to be coming next week with another video on the mutable signs of the zodiac and their rising signs and the energy in the birth chart when you have a mutable sign on your ascendant. So don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to know more about your birth chart and what transits are hitting your chart, what big event you're going through, if you're going through your Saturn return, if you're going through a Uranus transit or a Saturn opposition. I definitely can help you through that in more detail. So you can book a reading on my little description below. So I hope you subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to click subscribe and click the bell so that you can see when I have new videos coming up. I try to post every single week. I've been a little bit delayed because I was at the NCGR Conference for Professional Astrologers, which is very, very fun and enjoyable. So I hope to see you guys soon, and ciao.